Welcome to another edition of 720 and 720. This is John Schulman, and we've got a very unique guest, a guest not of the basketball world, of the football world. And just to tell you the truth, in my 52 years, one of the most amazing stories I've ever heard in my life. I think you're going to enjoy the story. I think you're going to be sympathetic with the story, and I think you're going to understand what I'm talking about after you hear the story. Jags, welcome, Jags. To 720 and 720.
Hey, how you doing, John?
We're good. Jags, I know you as Jags, and everybody in the sports world knows you as Coach Jags. Give us your full name because, number one, I'm not smart enough to say it. So tell us your full name, and don't spell it, though.
All right, it's Jeff Jagodzinski.
Well, I don't even know how to say that. But for you sports fans out there and for you coaches out there, Jags has an amazing story that I want to go through with you, and because it's a crazy story, and it's a story that when I heard it for the first time, I didn't believe. But Jags now lives in Chattanooga. Jags, tell us first of all, where are you from originally?
Well, I'm originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and for all the people out there, yes, this is a northern accent as you're listening to it.
Sounds Midwest to me. I'm sorry. The Jags, you're from Milwaukee. All right, so you're from that area. Where'd you go to college?
I went to a place called University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. It's a Division III school there in the state, and the school I went to is a national power is in the football world, and they've got 7 national championships. And back when I was playing, we were good, but we weren't that good, and they're always in the semis to finals. They're always in there with a school called Mount Union. And Whitewater made it to the semifinals this year. They played school down in Texas, Mary Hardin Baylor. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Oh, absolutely. Look, what people don't understand, because my son's playing Division II basketball, what people don't understand is how good of if you're playing college athletics, it doesn't matter D1, D2, D3, you can play the game. So I know that level. That's why that level never plays 1AA, I guess, FCS schools, because they don't want to take a butt kicking, because I know how good those levels are. So you get done playing, and you know you want to get into coaching right away, correct?
I did. And you know what I wanted to do, because I was playing Division III, and it was really good football. I had a great time. I mean, I wouldn't trade it for anything, but I wanted to play Division I. And so I always wanted to go into the big time. And so I was always really intrigued because I wanted to play that level, and I really wasn't good enough to play that level. So I said, well, you know what, I'm going to get into coaching. And what I did is I sent out 120 letters to every school, Division I school in the country, and I didn't get one reply. How about that?
You know your self-worth right off the bat, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. And because no one knew you, right? So, and you know how the game is played, John. It's really who you know, and relationships, getting jobs, and all that. So I sent out those 120 applications, or not applications, but just, hey, I'd like to be a part of your program, and I didn't get any answers for that. So I went down to, I wasn't going to go to Madison, University of Wisconsin. They didn't have anything. So I decided I'd go to Northern Illinois. That was the closest Division I school to Milwaukee. And I just went down to Northern Illinois, and I waited into the head coach's office until he got there. So I got there before he did. And he came walking in, and the guy's name was Jerry Pettibone, really well-known back in the heyday of Nebraska and the Oklahomas. He was a recruiting coordinator and wide receiver coach. So anyway, he was the head coach. And he said, Coach, he goes, Jags, he goes, I don't have anything. We don't have money for GAs here at Northern, so I don't care. I said, I want to get in. So I took out a school loan to coach.
That's amazing.
I paid them to coach. And that's how I started. And that's how I got my foot in the door.
Well, back in the day, and for all you, so Jags, this is also a kind of a podcast to help young coaches. What for young coaches, I also kind of suggest, besides just sending a resume, sometimes if it's close enough and you're really involved in the job, kind of invest in your own travel and go there and just say, here, coach, I just want to give you a resume. I was scared the mail would mess it up. I just want to give it to you. It actually shows a coach that you're willing to do whatever you got to do to want that job and to get that job. So I'm sure you impressed him by being there and taking out a loan. But nowadays it's, young coaches are wanting six figures to get started as a GA, and it's a different time. But I appreciate you saying that and what you did to get started in coaching, and that's what we had to do back in the day. So you got the job. You paid your own way. And you got the job at Northern Illinois.
I did, and I didn't have a place to live, so they said, "Well, Jags, you're gonna manage this apartment." I go, "What does that mean?" I had no idea what that meant. So, okay, so I didn't do anything with that. So they gave me an apartment to live in, but I didn't have anything, John. I had a suitcase of clothes, a small suitcase, mind you, of clothes, and I had no furniture in that place, and I didn't have any place to sleep, so I was sleeping on the floor, and this girl was throwing away a mattress. And I go, whoa, what are you doing? I go, I'll take that. Yeah. So that's what I took that from her, and dragged it up to my apartment, threw it on the floor or onto the floor, and so that's what I started sleeping on.
It's a glamorous world. Coaching's a glamorous world, isn't it?
Not in the beginning.
How long, or the end? Trust me. All right. As you know that. All right. So, how long did you stay at Northern Illinois?
I only stayed there for one season, and I got a chance to meet some really, really good people down there. And one of the guys that I was coaching with at the time, his dad was a teacher at Penn State, and or a professor at Penn State, and there was a guy named Mike Archer that used to cut their lawn. Well, anyway, Mike Archer got the head coaching job at LSU at 33 years old. So I just started calling Archer out of the blue and at LSU, and so that conversation was good. Hey, how's the weather down there? And it's snowing sideways up here in Milwaukee right now. And he goes, well, it's pretty nice down here in Baton Rouge. So anyway, I was doing some substitute teaching. I go, this is surely not me. I'm not going to do this. So I jumped in my VW Rabbit, had no gas gauge on it, so I had to do it by mileage. And I said, hey, I'd asked one of my buddies. I said, come on, Johnny, let's go down. I'm going down to LSU. I want to meet Archer. So I kind of did the same thing. I just showed up in Archer's office one day, and I waited there for about 4 hours until he could see me. You know how that is. Right?
I love it. Yep.
So I was waiting in his office in the lobby for about 4 hours, and he came by, and I got a chance to go in to see him. And I just pitched myself, and I said, Coach, look, I said, you don't know me. And I said, but I want a chance to coach, and I want to be at a big-time place like LSU. And so the conversation went, I said, there's no one going to outwork me, and there's no one going to be. And I mean, you're just pitching yourself, right?
Yep.
And for whatever reason, the guy took a chance on me. Some guy from Milwaukee playing Division III football. Mike's 33 years old. And the guy gave me a job. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
Well, I'm a believer. The harder you work, the luckier you get. And if you hadn't got in your VW and drove from Milwaukee or from Northern Illinois to Baton Rouge, you would have never got the job. So if you don't go for it, I used to say in recruiting, if you don't even make an effort to go try to go get that kid, he ain't coming. And
that's right.
And you got to go for it. You ain't gonna win the lottery if you don't play. And so you hit the lottery down there. And so now all of a sudden you're a young kid at LSU. So you're doing good so far. So keep on going with us.
All right. So I got a chance to be there for 2 seasons. And here's the thing they gave you. They said, look, he goes, we'll pay for you to have a master's degree or you can coach. Well, I had no desire to have a master's degree. None. I didn't want to go to school anymore. I said, the education I was going to get was on the field and being around all of these really, really good coaches. I mean, they were good coaches down there. You don't get to a level like LSU if you're not a good coach, right? So I got a chance to go down there and was there for 2 years. And I was looking for it, and I was looking for a job to get in. Okay, so I got LSU on my resume, but one day I was sitting down in the bottom of the LSU's stadium. I mean, that's where we were. That's where they put all the GAs. We had 5 of us at the time. And one of the coaches, his name was Jerry Sullivan, was our wide receiver coach. And Bill Lewis was the defensive coordinator at Georgia. And he got a job at East Carolina, and he wanted Jerry to go along with him as his coordinator. Well, Jerry wasn't going to go to East Carolina from LSU. That wasn't a good move for him. He said, but I got a young guy that you might be interested in. And Jerry gave him my name, and we were playing in the Hall of Fame Bowl or something. And right after that, I got a chance to go interview with Bill Lewis. And the first thing, it was East Carolina, and it's in Greenville. Well, there's a Greenville, North Carolina, and a Greenville, South Carolina, and I had no idea where the hell I was going to go, right?
Well, I mean, this is the South, man. I mean, we're all family down here anyway. Come on, Jags.
I know it, but I had no idea what it was. I said, well, it's North Carolina. I said, okay. So my flight went from Baton Rouge to Atlanta, from Atlanta to Charlotte, and then Charlotte is one of those prop planes, right?
Yep.
Is one of those prop planes to get into Greenville, America, North Carolina. So I went in there on my interview, and I had no money to buy clothes. So I wore my bowl sweater. I think it was a Gator Bowl sweater or something. I had no money, right? So I ended up getting this job at East Carolina, coaching the tight ends, and I was making $20,000 a year.
I thought you were rich.
I thought I hit the lottery.
Yeah.
And they gave me a car, and I got $20,000, making $1,200 a month is what I was getting. I said I thought I was rich, and I was eating on the training table. My insurance was taken care of because I was a single guy, and so they took care of my insurance just the way it was because I had no family. And when I left Baton Rouge, I had a steamer trunk in a box, and I had that shipped, and that's why I started at East Carolina. They said, well, you got to go out recruiting. I said, okay, where am I going? They sent me to this place called Apex, North Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, where the hell is that? And I went to, and it was in Raleigh. So I was between Apex and High Point somewhere. And so I just started recruiting. Had no idea what I was doing. And I just, Well,
I'm gonna tell you this for all coaches out here going to listen to this. I did make a comment to you. You thought you were rich. I'm going to tell you, if you're a true coach, then you probably were rich. And I tell you why. You're coaching. I thought when I got my first dealer car as a coach, I thought I was the coolest coach in America. I had a white Buick at Tennessee Tech, and I thought I'd hung them. I mean, it was incredible. And so when you're really drawn to coaching and coaching's your calling, like it is with you, because you see it all over you, you were rich at $20,000 at East Carolina, recruiting an area you've never recruited. All right. So you stayed at East Carolina till 96. All right, correct?
Right. I started there in 89.
All right.
But here's just one of the things. We ended up going 11 or 10-1-1. We lost the first game against Illinois. That was our opening game. And we ripped. This is our third year there, and then we went undefeated the rest of the time. And Bill Lewis gets an opportunity. When you win at a place like that, you get a chance to go to a bigger place. So Bill goes to Georgia Tech, and I said, "Fantastic, man! I'm going to Georgia Tech." Well, not so fast. He didn't take me with him, So I was sitting at the time, Blockbuster was, one of those video stores. So I got like 10 video cassettes, right? Those things. And I sat in my little townhouse that I had, and I just went, oh man, now where am I going to go from here? So, but anyway, a guy on the staff got the job, and he gave me the offensive line job. And I never coached the offensive line before. And I said, well, all right, well, here we go. And I mean, I was like scared to death because I had no idea what I was doing. And his name was Steve Logan. And I ended up staying there for another 5 years and learned that trade. And I just met people. Mark Richt was on that staff. Chuck Pagano was on that staff. I mean, all these guys, off of that staff, there was 5 guys that went to the NFL, and they all became coordinators. And Chuck got the head job with the Indianapolis Colts. So, and there's your network of people.
Yep.
And the whole thing is, you have to network like crazy and it's just, I think, any profession, it's really who you know. So I got to know all of these guys, and then I had an opportunity to go to Boston College as the coordinator. And the thing is, Tom O'Brien just took the job at BC, and no one wanted the BC job either because they had a gambling scandal. I don't know if you remember that.
Yep.
But they had a gambling scandal, and nobody wanted to go to BC. So and this was Tom's first job. He came from Virginia. And I met Tom on a recruiting trip. I recruited up in Tidewater. It was a Southeast Virginia, really, really fertile ground for recruiting. But I met Tom, on the road in recruiting. That's how I got to know him. And there was like 5 guys that turned him down to go there. So I've never been anybody's first choice.
And you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're anybody's first choice, second choice. It doesn't matter. It matters that you got the job. It matters that you, when you're on the road or you're at a camp, meet as many people as you can possibly meet, and that got you to BC, correct?
That's right. That's exactly right. And I was there for 2 years. And one of the guys that wanted to visit East Carolina, when we were at East Carolina, we were throwing the ball. This was like early 90s. And we were throwing the ball 5 wide. We were throwing the ball all over the park. And nobody was really doing that. There's a couple guys out on the West Coast that was doing it. And we just put up like really, really big numbers. And one of the guys that wanted to come visit us, you know how in the spring, like right now, you go visit other coaches or other teams and, learn. Well, there was a guy named Mike Sherman, and he was down at Texas A&M. And he called and he said, hey, I want to come up and visit you guys and talk to you guys about your passing game. And so anyway, I ended up going to BC, and I was there for 2 years. And I called Mike Sherman. I said, Mike, how did you get into the NFL? Because that's something I'd really, really be interested in doing. And he said, well, I met scouts, and he ended up going up to Green Bay. So Mike was up in Green Bay, and Mike Holmgren was there, and he took the job out at Seattle with the Seahawks and took Sherman with him. And he said, would you be interested in coming here and coaching the tight ends? Well, I dropped the phone. It took me about 10 minutes to find it off the floor, right? I couldn't believe it.
I mean, just imagine going from a suitcase going down to LSU to all of a sudden now you're with the Green Bay Packers, and you're a Wisconsin guy.
It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. First person I called my dad, and I said, hey, Dad. I said, I just got a job with the Packers. Now, I think my dad dropped the phone, and it took him about 10 minutes to find it.
Yeah.
So I ended up going up to Green Bay, and they offered me the job. Now, I would have crawled to Green Bay from Boston to take that job because, that was my dream job. And so I'm sitting there and looking out my office into Lambeau Field. I couldn't believe it. I go, I can't believe I'm here. And I had all my Green Bay gear and all that. Man, I was as proud as could be. And that was really a great opportunity to coach there. And here's the funny thing about that. I was never in Lambeau Field. My dad could never get a ticket, right? Because they were always sold out. So I had to get a job with the Packers to get into Lambeau Field.
It's nuts. And now all of a
It
sudden,
really is. It really is.
all right, you're with the Packers because I want to get
Yeah.
to BC. So you're with the Packers for what, 4 seasons?
Right. And then
Now you're an NFL guy. So NFL guys kind of like NBA guys. You can move from team to team because you know how that thing works.
that's exactly right. And then you know people. So I end up getting a job. I go from Green Bay down to Atlanta with Jimmy Mora, and I was coaching, and they were in a West Coast offense because all those guys came from San Francisco. So I go down to Atlanta, and I knew the scheme, I knew all that, so I felt really comfortable. And I was at Atlanta for 2 seasons, and then Mike McCarthy ends up getting the job. Mike McCarthy and I were on the first staff in Green Bay with Ray Rhodes, and that's how I got a chance to meet Mike McCarthy. And Mike, I was sitting at my desk in Atlanta, and he calls and he goes, "You want to be the coordinator in Green Bay?" there again. I just dropped the phone again, right? I said, "Absolutely." And so I go up to Green Bay. I was up there for a year, and my family said, "I'm not." We had just moved to Atlanta. They were there for 18 months, and my wife goes, "I'm not going up there." She goes, I'm not leaving here." So I go up to Green Bay by myself, and what she told me, she goes, "You're either going to get fired after the first year, or you're going to get another job. So I'm not going anywhere." So I ended up getting the job at BC after my first year. So I go up to BC, and as a head coach, and the reason I got the job at BC is the first time I was at BC, I got a chance to know the AD, and we just got to be really, really good friends. I mean, really, really good friends. So I go up to BC. We had a really lot of success up there. We're number 2 in the country, number 10 overall.
Okay, I want to redo that. Now, you were what in the country at Boston College?
Number 2.
Number 2, like in the ACC, or number 2 in Mass, or where? Number 2 where?
In Mass, that's a great one, John.
All right,
but no, it's number 2 in the country.
In America.
In America.
At Boston College.
At BC, yeah, we were
that powerhouse Boston College.
Yes, that's it. But I tell you this though, we did have Matt Ryan was my quarterback, and one of the things.
So you had just been with Favre at Green Bay.
Well, I was with Favre, and Aaron Rodgers was his backup, and I had Mike Vick down in Atlanta. So I've been really, really fortunate. I've been around like probably the best quarterbacks that ever played the game. And actually, it's going to end up being is like I'll have 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks that I've been with, because Matt Ryan will be one, Favre's one, obviously, and Aaron Rodgers is going to be one. So I've been with 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, which, I mean, that's just when you look at it, it's like unbelievable. Well, so anyway, we were really successful at BC. We won 2 division championships, and we were playing Virginia Tech. We beat them during the season, both years, and then we went to the championship game to go to the Orange Bowl, and we lost both of those games. And then I ended up having a chance to go to an interview with. This is where everything gets really interesting. I had an interview to go to the New York Jets, and the AD, again, we were like really, really good friends, and he just said, "You're not taking that interview. You can't do that." I said, "Are you serious?" I said, we just won 21 games here at Boston College. And he goes, "If you go on an interview, you're fired." And I just looked at him and I said, "Gene," I go, "this is one of the top jobs in the profession, New York Jets." And he goes, "Well, I'm just saying, if you go," well, I went. And it was great. The interview was really, really awesome. It was a great experience. And so I come back from the interview, and I got handed a pink slip. It says, "You got to go. You're not the head coach here at BC." And so I ended up quitting. Well, I ain't quit. I mean, I got fired, and I didn't have a job. And I was fortunate to get a job down at Tampa Bay Bucks. And I was there for about a cup of coffee. It just didn't last. It was it's one of those things that I think it just wasn't a good fit. It wasn't a good fit for them. It wasn't a good fit for me. So that one didn't last. And so that's kind of where, John, you're in my story. It's like, what are we going to do now?
Yeah, I mean, I just want people to understand, and whether it be a business guy, I mean, you were on, and I feel your pain because I was up there too at one time. You were, who are the people that so you were coaching Matt Ryan at BC. You go to 2 ACC championship games. You're ranked number 2 in America. I think you beat Michigan State. You beat Notre Dame during those times.
Yeah, we beat Notre Dame twice. We beat Clemson. We beat Florida State. We beat Miami. We beat everybody in the ACC.
You're probably the hot guy in college football.
I believe I was.
And then you go interview for the Jets job,
right.
and that backfires on you, and now you're sitting here talking to me, 8-9 years later.
Yeah. And I think, the BC thing and then the Tampa thing happened like back to back, which wasn't good. It didn't look good, just from the outside, it didn't look good. And so I ended up getting a job at Georgia State, and I was down there for 4 years. And the head coach gets fired down there, and I'm sitting there in this little apartment I've got, a 1-bedroom apartment. John, now, when you say small, this thing, I mean, I could see every room. When I walked in the front door, I could see every room that was in this apartment, right? And so I was there for 4 years, and I was getting out of coaching. I said I got kind of disgruntled about the whole thing, and I'd never do this, but I looked at this coaching website, and there's a job. It said offensive line coach and wellness, Notre Dame High School, Chattanooga, America. I said, okay. And so I sent him a resume, and the AD here, Matt Polbiego, is just a wonderful, wonderful guy. I mean, and he goes, he saw my name. He goes, no, this can't be that guy. And so Matt calls me, and I end up taking a job here at Notre Dame, and we had a lot of success up here at Notre Dame. We went to the state finals. It was the first time ever in 140-year history of Notre Dame got a chance to go to the state finals. And we went there, and we ended up going to the quarterfinals this past year. And I met this guy named John Schulman, and we started talking.
Well,
and our stories got real familiar.
Yeah, I know. Let me ask you a couple things. I want to ask you a couple things because I want, as people are listening. Let me ask you this. All right. So you beat Notre Dame while you're at BC, and I know you're juiced out of your mind. I'm just curious. When you won in the semis to go to the state championship at Notre Dame High School here in Chattanooga, was the feeling the same? Was it different? Was it the same? You tell me.
Well, football's football, and competition is competition. So, it was a little bit different than going to the NFC Championship game, I would say. But
no, I understand that.
But you know what though? It was still championship, and there's still competition, and there's still 22 guys on the field at a time, and so football is football. The thing that was different for me is I had all of these. I was always college or coaching in the pros. And all of a sudden, I'm here at Notre Dame High School, and I'm looking at these kids. Nobody's shaving yet. The first practice I was at was Jacob Brigman, great, really good football player here, and they just weren't going practicing hard. They didn't know how to practice, right? So after the first one, I said, Jacob, you got to start. And he was 14 years old. And I said, Jacob, you're not going hard. He goes, I said, do you understand what I'm talking about? And he's just looking at me like a dog in a new pan, whether, what do I eat out of that thing or what? So I said, Jacob, how old are you? He goes, I'm 14. I go, do you even have a 10-speed bike? Well, first of first of all, he didn't know what a 10-speed bike was, John.
Yeah.
They don't have those anymore.
No,
right?
no, you're right.
I think they call them gear bikes now.
No, it is because I went through the same thing going from college, but I don't even know how you've done it because you've been on top. I mean, you were close to being in the elite of your profession. You were in college.
Right.
You almost got the Jets job. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, and then you're offensive coordinator with Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, and now you're at Notre Dame High School in Chattanooga.
That's right.
To remain sane and normal, and I can't say you're normal, Jags, because I'm not either, but to remain somewhat normal and sane has been a credit to you and your faith in your life. But, we're just trying to – I want to show other coaches that, number one, coaching is coaching. And I've seen you with those kids. Me and my wife came over and watched you – play a football game over at Notre Dame. Those kids look at you like you're a god, and so coaching is coaching. Number one, you're still you're having a blast impacting those kids at Notre Dame. Correct or incorrect?
No, I really believe that. I believe that I'm here for a reason, and sometimes I wonder what that reason is.
Yeah, I'm with you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
But then you look at the growth of these kids, and I also teach wellness here, all freshmen. So I've got 100 freshmen, and I've got 3 all-boys classes and 2 girls classes. And I've heard this more than a time or two, is they'll look at me going, Jags, why are you here? Why are you here and not there? And I got a big Packer helmet in my room. They go, why are you not there? And why are you here? I said, well, I think there's a reason. I still haven't figured out what that reason is, but I think I do impact a lot of kids.
Yeah.
In fact, I know I do. And, that's something I think I don't know if you can put a price tag on that, because you don't know what kid you're impacting or what kid you're influencing, and I think I do a lot of that here at Notre Dame. So,
well, I mean, to me, the more and I don't know where you're going to finish. All right, but there's a lot of coaching. There's a lot of coaches listening here. All right, we got Division I basketball coaches. We got, after it comes out that you're going to be on the podcast, you're going to have a lot of football coaches. But there's a lot of coaches that are dying to be Division I coaches. All right. And if I'm not a D1 coach, what am I? Who am I? I'm an NAIA or I'm a middle school basketball coach. A middle school, it doesn't matter. I was a JV basketball coach for 4 years when I was going through college. I thought my games were the most important games in America.
Always.
And so that's why I want our coaches who are listening. You were a national power at BC. You coached Matt Ryan and then Aaron Rodgers and Favre at Green Bay, Michael Vick at the Falcons, and now you're at Notre Dame High School. And I know the games mean just as much to you, and those kids mean just as much. I know you're probably not making the money that you made at Green Bay and BC, but still, coaching is coaching.
You know what? It is, John. It is just, and it still is. I enjoy it. That's the part I really enjoy most, is being on the field, because it's kind of like a sanctuary. Like when you get on the field, everything else stops.
Yes.
And you're just coaching. But like wins and losses, they still matter. I don't know, and I probably shouldn't do this, but I always took it personal when we lost, or if we lose. It's like I didn't do a very good job this week coaching these guys. That's why we lost, which is probably an ego thing, probably more than anything. But that's the way I always feel. Like when you lose losing sucks, man.
Yeah.
I don't care what level you're on.
No, I agree. And no, I know your story to me is mind-boggling, that you're not back on that level. And I'm going to work very hard and try to get your name out there so you can get back on that level. But really, as long as, I always thought when I was a little kid, I had a basketball coach named Marty Street, and, I called him Coach Street. And I went, what an honor to be called coach. What an honor not to be called, Mr. Schulman or what. The honor to me as I grew up was to be called coach. And if you're called coach, you're something special. And as I introduce you to start, I don't know you as Jeff. I don't know you're Jags to me. You're Coach Jags, and that's all probably you've ever known. And so, what an honor! How rich you are, young man. And I said young, to be called Coach Jags every day, still to this moment. So
you're exactly right. Because I remember when I first started in that profession, I was coaching at Whitewater. And they called me that, and you know what? It really did sound cool, because it was a different thing. It was people looked up to you and looked at you for answers and problem solving and all that. But yeah, I think that being called coach is a real big honor.
Yeah,
it really is.
Well, I want you to remember that. So it's just a big honor. I'm just going to tell you this. I don't know what they called you in Green Bay. They probably called you a couple names we can't say on the podcast. But
not so much the players. But I know the fans.
Yeah, I understand it.
I was the stupidest guy in America.
On that level, what did Favre call you? Jags?
I was just Jags.
Probably just Jags. All right.
Yeah. And when I got to Notre Dame too, because first of all, I put my whole name up on the board the first day, right? And that was a bonus question for the first test. You got an extra 10 points if you can spell it.
Yeah.
So everybody could get an A. But anyway, even the kids, I even tell them, I go, look, I said, you call me Coach Jags, call me Coach. If you just want to call me Jags, that's fine too. It doesn't matter, because I know I'm the coach, and you know I'm the coach. So yeah, that's what
the nice thing is, as we're getting older, you got something I don't have. They call you coach, and
exactly.
you're still coaching after all these years, and what a journey you've been through. And like I've said, your journey. Listen, I watch those coordinators in the NFL. Those guys are getting to the game in a wheelchair. All right, so you got a good 20 more years you can get to where you want to get back to.
I believe that, and again, it's what it is just getting another opportunity. And John, you and I have talked about this, God, many times. It takes one person to say yes.
Absolutely.
One person. And but I still have a desire to coach on a collegiate level and maybe the pro level again, because I'm looking at all of these guys. I know all these guys.
Yeah.
I watch them on TV every week, or I see them on TV every week, and so.
Well, we're gonna help you. We're gonna help you along the way, and who knows, someone out there may be listening to this, say, man, what a crazy story, and hopefully help you. But Jags, we appreciate your time, man. We appreciate your openness and wanting to talk about kind of your journey and a lot of journeys. Your journey didn't keep on going north. It went south a little bit, and that's also part of the journey. Mine went south too. Most people's journey goes south, and other coaches need to listen to that because trust me, there's a bunch of Schulman and Jags out there struggling with the same thing me and you struggle with. So thank you very much for your time, and looking forward to hopefully helping a lot of coaches listen to your story.
Well, I really appreciate that. I'd say one of the things, if I could just leave it with anything, your picture needs to be on whoever the young coach out there, when they open up the dictionary and it says persistence on it, your name better be next to that.
Yeah.
Because that's how you're gonna get ahead and get your chances.
Well,
and then when you get that chance, you just got to work your butt off.
We're all going to fail, and we're all going to be told no, and we're all going to lose, and we just got to keep on battling through it. And some are better than others, no doubt, but you're right. You just got to stay persistent. Hey, Jags, thanks so much, man. Appreciate your time.
John, you're the best, man.